Evening, welcome guys. You're here at SpeakuP Monday here at Tropical Nomad here in Canggu, which is in Bali, Indonesia. There you go. That's right.
That's right. We're on an island here.
We're on an island. You know, I always call it a country, but it's an island.
We're very, very, very far away from Western world.
Yeah, we are. Mamma mia. So today we have, so SpeakuP Monday, as you know, is a deep dive Q&A, and we are here every Monday at 6:30, Tropical Nomad. Feel free to come and join us. And my name is Ian Bonnick. I'm your host, a speaker, a coach, and an advisor of sorts, and a facilitator. There you go, facilitator. So we're here. And each week we have a deep dive Q&A with an amazing guest to really unlock some inspiration, some love, some joy, some compassion, things that we can all relate to and things that we always want as well at our core level. So today, if you want to know about the human body, energy, biomes and energy systems running and coursing through the body, then you've come to the right episode. So Maia is an incredible person that I don't know so much, but I'm looking forward to getting much deeper, which is going to be great. So for those of you who are wondering about the brain-gut connection and how that works and why it's so incredibly important that you do pay attention to it, tonight is going to be a wonderful episode for you to see. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you, Maia Inti Amaru.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, darling.
Thank you, brother. So glad to be here. And these beautiful people in the audience today. Thank you for coming, guys.
Yeah. And look, so for those of you who are in the audience, actually, so there will be a time where if you want to ask any questions that might be coming up for you, might be raising, there's going to be a moment where you can ask, more than a moment, there will be a time for you to ask those questions. So for now, I'll probably start us off and then we'll see where we go to. So I've noticed that we have lots of beautiful things on the table here. Right? And this is the first time I think a guest has gone to the trouble of preparing the space in such a way. Can you tell us, what you've done and how you've prepared the space and why?
Absolutely. Could we get a camera cue here?
They can imagine. We've got one camera onto it, and this camera will cover some of it.
Okay, I can lift it up. The little offerings that I brought for you is I brought hot water, and I brought chrysanthemum tea.
Chrysanthemum. Ooh.
Yeah, that some Russian friends gave to me. Yeah. And then I brought a cacao seeds.
Oh, cacao seeds.
Yeah, please have some.
So guys, you don't know what these are. You might not be able to see this so close, but this is a cacao seed, right?
Yeah, so these are raw cacao. Yeah.
Just stick it in your mouth?
Yes, eat it. It's going to give us so much energy for this interview.
Wow.
So good.
Tough.
You can basically run in cacao beans and drink in cacao cups. Like in ancient times, King Moctezuma from the Aztec Empire, he would run in 20 cups of cacao per day.
Whoa.
To be able to take decisions of power. So back in the day in Mayan times, whoever had more cacao was more powerful because you were able to have more energy to make more decisions and more things happen.
Got it. And then, so for you, your background is from South America, right? So can you let us know whereabouts in South America you're from? And I love the connection that you've made, and it sounds like you're steeped in history, and you know what's going on, which I can't wait to dive into. But yeah, let's start from, so where are you from?
I was born in Mexico City in 1984, Mexico City, December. And then there was an earthquake in 1985 that was huge in Mexico City, and my parents were like, we're out of here, we're out of the city, because like 20 million people living in one of the most populated cities in the world. And they moved to a smaller city, which is Monterrey, Mexico, 3 million people. Smaller in comparison, but still Babylon, still grew up in big Babylon industrial city, full of cowboys. Industrial cowboys, a beautiful mountain range, biggest mountain range in Mexico, Sierra Madre Oriental, a great mecca for rock climbing. That was a part of my life that I became a rock climber, and we're gonna get to that part. And it's a city surrounded by desert, so I was also very influenced by the desert in my life. Like whenever I had to run away from home, I would just go to the desert and go to the mountains, and I would either go with friends or alone. It would just feel awesome to go to the desert alone as well.
Yeah, it sounds to me, because we'll get on in a minute to the work that you do, or part of the work that you're being called to do. So it always interests me, right, how we end up doing what we do. And I'm not necessarily talking from, I went to school, I did this, I studied that, and I became this, but more from the internal viewpoint, right? And this can be spirituality, it can be emotional, feeling-based, right? Or a different energy, right? Mm-hmm. So, what is it that you do now? Maybe explain that to people here so they get a good grasp of it. And then how did your early childhood give you the opportunities to do that thing?
Okay, so there's like a multi-layer on the careers and the offerings that I bring into reality, and the first layer is an artist. It's like being an artist. It's like since I was a kid, I was like creating things, building things, playing musical instruments. Some of my first savings of money was to buy music instruments. It's like, I want a Casio synthesizer, I want a Roland synthesizer, I want a silver flute, I started buying Indonesian instruments as well, because there was like importation stores in my city. There was one Balinese store, and I would go get Balinese flutes when I was like 14. And all my savings will go into like get musical instruments, beautiful pieces of art. And then I started getting interested in shamanism, because when I was growing up, like nothing mattered. It's like what I was seeing in society, it was like unreal, unfucking real, a movie. It was like since I was super young, I was like, this is a movie. I was not involved in the church. My family was deeply immersed in the Catholic Church. My grandma, my mom, my father. From my father's side, everybody's a doctor. It's like my dad used to be a traumatologist and a surgeon, and then my great grandfather was like five different kinds of doctor, because he was the only doctor in town, so he had to deliver babies, do surgeries, open hearts, talk to women, solve their problems. So he was like / psychologist and doctor, and I think that's like a really big influence in my life, even though I didn't spend a lot of time with my father and with my grandfather. Is a thing that comes from a lineage of helping people and helping people heal themselves and support them in their life. So in my career right now, I present myself as a biohacker, because that's a big word that can englobe being a nutritionist, being a naturopath, being a herbalist. What else? I am also really involved in neurohacking and in the quantum psychology mechanics of how to decipher what you're going through. And once you decipher what's the emotion that you're going through, shift it and find the tools and the mindset and the protocols and the exercises and the play and the music to change that state of mind. Because one of the things that I learned through the years, in the last 18 years of career, studying with Indigenous masters in Mexico, I started following Indigenous people, because for me, they had the biggest truth and the closest thing to reality that I could understand. So if my parents were not giving me answers, and the school was not giving me answers, and books were helping me a lot, but there's just enough that you can learn from a book. So I started seeking Indigenous people, and I would go to the desert, and my first introduction to an Indigenous tribe was going to a sweat lodge. And a sweat lodge ceremony by the Lakota in the middle of the desert. A friend came to pick me up one afternoon. I was 18 years old, and she's like, do you want to go to a sweat lodge? I'm like, let's go. I just like pack my backpack, we go for like the whole day into the desert in a sweat lodge with a Lakota tribe. And it was like 35 of us inside the sweat lodge. And so far in like the dozens and dozens of sweat lodges that I've experienced in my life, that was the most powerful. It was like, that was the most intense sweat lodge, because they were doing like native style, like with the heat as they do it, with the traditional way of doing things, because we were going to their tribe.
Got it. So for some people here, right, they may hear the word sweat lodge and come up with all sorts of ideas in their mind of what that is, or what it looks like, and so on. So maybe if you can just explain to people what a sweat lodge is, or in particular what that sweat lodge was,
All right.
so they can get a visual.
All right. So sweat lodge is the American word for inipi, or temazcali in the Maya and the Mexica tradition. We also had a sweat lodge, which is a house of rocks or a house of bamboo and sticks, and they would put leather on the top or blankets, and then you put rocks in the middle, and it becomes like a steam room. But it's deeper than a steam room. There's a whole like energetics and shamanism and protocols that involve like how to move the energy of the water, how to move the steam to cleanse your body at a multi-level. So you're not just sweating like in a Finnish steam room or in a Russian steam room, but you're also going very deep inside your psyche, because it's dark and it's hot, and sometimes it's really hot. Sometimes you're just like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna make it. Your mind is wanting to just get out, but it's a challenge for you to like stay in and release that tension. So it's a very psychologically triggering, but then rewarding traditional therapy.
Got it.
Yeah.
So we're going to come back to that for sure. The one thing I want to pick up upon is the mind, right? So a lot of us here, we all have a mind, right? All of us, last time I checked, right? Just in case some people put their hands up like, I haven't got one, right? But we all have one. Now, a lot of us have this challenge with either controlling, mastering, or working with our minds in a productive way, right? So now bringing it to, and we're going to come back to your roots, because I love the story and I want to hear more, and I'm sure other people here do as well. But how does what you're doing now influence the way that we look at our mind and the way that we work with our mind?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Cool. So this mind that we have, sometimes we struggle with it, right? So maybe we want to turn left, it wants to turn right.
All right.
Right? So maybe we want to feel, like up and in a good mood, but our mind is giving us depressed thoughts, right, that bring us down. So the question is, with the work that you do, with what you've been called in to do, how does that work allow us to work with the mind or master the mind? If you could maybe have a look and see what comes up.
Absolutely, and what you're sharing in that question is probably one of the main problematics around the world in the general population, which is the repetition of programming. Because we were born with certain programming. We repeat things, we go to bed in a certain way, we wake up, we go to school, we go to job, we do things in a systematic way. So our brain is used to repetition. And in that same way, if you want to introduce a new habit in our life, we need to do it from a place of repetition, but in a more friendly way. In a softer way that it's easy for you. So let's say you wake up and you drink a glass of water with lime, and then you have a shot of ginger, and then you have your shot of another superfood. So in order for that to be easy, you start with a glass of water. So every day you start with a glass of water. And then you add up your shot with lime and ginger. And then you add yoga into it. And then you add Qigong next year. And then you just practice Qigong over and over and over and over for 10 years, like I've done. And then one day you want something else. So you start adding elements. And like, for example, for me, my next element was starting to go to the gym this year. I have never gone to the gym in my life. I was like a mountain goat, like give me rock climbing, give me like mountain biking, give me martial arts, but gym, I was like, why do people go to the gym? Yeah. And now I get it. It's like, now I get it. It's part of the healthy habits, because you're in the computer, and sometimes you need something really strong and real exciting to get you out of the computer. So you get your biohacking kit, you get your ice cold water plunge, which is fantastic for brain. It's like fantastic for regeneration of muscles or injuries that you have in your body. And it also helps regulate your nervous system. So regulating your nervous system is key. Like if you want to change your frequency, if you want to change your patterns, you have to go to your parasympathetic system, and go to your emotions and go to the feel-good emotions so that your heart and your mind can be in a place of ease and not feel like you're under pressure of hunting, of the hassle, of PTSD, of past trauma. So in order for us to get out of these patterns of PTSD, trauma, and being in a state that is segregating adrenaline in our system, we need to bring peace and relaxation. And right now we're so ingrained in this fast pace of society, of the go, 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 get, that we need to have the same equal amount of power and the same equal amount of activities to relax our system. So if we spend, let's say, 6 hours of our day working, we need to spend 6 hours of our day relaxing the system, like, or more. And then you start with 1 hour of relaxation or self-care methods or martial arts or yoga or breath work. And then you want more. Then you want 2 hours, then you want 3 hours. And then when you're finally able to access 5 hours or 6 hours per day of self-care methods that relax your nervous system, then we start talking. And then you have the capacity to create more and to have a more successful life.
Yeah, I love that grasp of less is more. I love that grasp of maximizing what you do, of not limiting, but, you know, like, I remember for me, always busy, always doing stuff. Phone not next to my bed, under my bed, right, under the pillow, no, right? And I remember bit by bit, you know, just kind of either having the phone off, started off having the phone further away, and then switching it off, and then in the morning maybe 5-minute meditation, then going a bit longer, then adding some exercise in there, and then as it ended up going, then it ended up being, you know, maybe like an hour and 15 before I looked at the phone, for example. And I get the graduation and the mastery about adding pieces onto the pieces, which are good for you, and that's supporting you, and over time that builds up to that time, right? Now, there might be people here saying, I get you, Maya, you know, I get that that's important, but I have kids, I have a life, a wife, and all these other things. I haven't got 6 hours, man, in my day to spare to do this stuff. So then biohacking is what you mentioned, which is this way of maximizing the time that you have to get a great result. Let's call it that for the sake of argument. So then, for the average person, maybe not living in Bali. Bali's way too relaxed anyway, right? Not way too relaxed, but you know what I mean. Not Canggu, there you go. So the average person, right, living in Canggu who's not doing breath work, yoga, a guru. Everyone here is laughing because they're from Canggu and they're going like, yeah, that's me, right? So without talking about those people, right? So people who have maybe got a stressful job, they work a lot, they have kids, they have other, you know, financial responsibilities, right? They haven't got 6 hours. So from a biohacking standpoint, which things would you say are the most important things that they could do for themselves now in a reasonable period of time? Maybe 15 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes. What would you do?
First of all, not looking at your phone in the morning. It's like, don't look at the phone, because as soon as you start scrolling, you're putting that information in your prefrontal cortex, and you're coding your brain to be addicted to your phone for the rest of the day. But if you choose to delegate that, you tell yourself, Maya, go do some breath work in the sun, or movement, or swimming, moving your body, drinking a glass of water, drinking a juice. That sounds so much better. So you have to treat your brain like a kid, like a 7-year-old kid. It's like you're not looking at your phone, but you're getting martial arts, and you're getting a juice, and you're getting a papaya. And then you make that your personal practice to at least have 1 hour of silence, or just for yourself, personal practice time. and then society, and then the world, and then your phone, your girlfriend, your family, your dog, whatever. First things first is personal care.
Got it. Beautiful, love that. And then, for you, again, people might look at you, they see you dressed beautifully, you've got this aura going, you drink tea, you've got, what's this? What is it called? Cacao beans, you've got chrysanthemum tea, like, girl, you gotta go, what's this?
Oh, this is just like a sound chime.
Sound chime, check this one out, guys, a sound chime. So this girl is connected, right? Connected in a serious way. And you look the part, not mean to come from a superficial standpoint, I'm just saying that you look and feel the part, right? I feel your Maia coming through, right? I'm sure people can as well. So the question is this, right? What for you have been some of the biggest challenges that you've faced to being who you are right now? And what did you do to overcome them? In this way, people can kind of see and connect to you and see that you're an amazing person, clearly, but there are things about you that maybe they also have going on. Because sometimes we get this thing of this person's on stage, I couldn't be like them. They're amazing. They look the part, sound the part, dress the part, drink the part, and all that stuff. That's not me. So this is a way of kind of connecting with them, saying, well, look, yes, I am, but I haven't always been like this. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced and how did you overcome them?
Okay, great question. So one of my biggest challenges probably was growing up as a child, as a teenager, and feeling that I didn't belong in society, feeling that I didn't even belong in my family. It's like I was made feel strange a lot of times within my family. So I was like, all right, so where do I belong? Like, what do I do in life? What am I doing here? I'm just gonna read books and play music. So I started collecting books of all kinds since I was like 12 years old. At 14, I was reading Nietzsche. I got like the whole anthology of Nietzsche. Thanks to my mom. She didn't know who Nietzsche was. Probably if she did, she would have probably bought me the books. So I started getting like really sharp and edgy philosophy since I was very young to try to understand reality and try to understand society and why humanity was not functioning as I knew as I could. Because like if you read the classics and you read all these beautiful stories of utopias, and you read the Buddhist books and you read Shambhala tradition, you know that we're able to access equanimity, love, equality, solidarity, compassion, unity. Like there's all these beautiful values. So as a kid and as a teenager, it was really intense to not feel that I belong in society. So that made me, one, try to become more intelligent so that I could understand reality and not be oppressed by it, because I was feeling massive oppression of like a macho society as it is Mexico. It's like Mexico is one of the most macho countries in the world, along Middle East and along probably Russia and Central and South America, and probably the US is also very macho. But it was really rough to grow up in a society as a rebel kid, being a woman who does not want to comply to the system. And another of the issues that I had a lot of trouble is that I didn't want to work for the system. I didn't want to work for like a boss. I didn't want to follow orders from a company. I didn't want to follow orders from a desk. I finished college just because my parents really wanted me to get a degree and not be a loser. But when I was studying, I was like going to arts and philosophy and sociology school. And I would also like sneak into music school on the free time just because they were all closed. So this was like an independent governmental college where you have like art school and psychology and sociology and music in the same area. So that was fun because like I was still within the system, I was still within the matrix. I hated living in a city, but I was hanging out with really fascinating philosophers, artists, musicians, intellectuals, and we were trying to understand reality. And I remember like this like marketing school that was giving us like some really fucking heavy books. Like you're 18 years old and they're making you like read Jean Baudrillard. Who's like this French intellectual whose ideas became the Matrix movie through a book called Simulacra and Simulacrum. And this guy, what he's basically saying is that we're constantly repeating life. Like life is a movie. But it tells you like this dark side, but it also brings light when you realize that you can be the director of your movie and get out of that matrix system like Neo did, and then start navigating through different windows of society and reality until you find a place that you match, until you find a place that you have a critical impact. And when you find your place of power, that you can actually bring abundance and love and creativity and start connecting with other people. And that for me took so many years. So many years I was like an antisocial, dressed in black, listening to alternative music, only hang out with my musician friends who play like alternative rock music. Rock music probably saved my life so many years. Rock music and rock climbing saved my life when I was like 18 from 21. Like 18 to 27 actually, because I was not able to leave Mexico until I was 27.
You know what I'm loving is rock.
Yeah.
Rock, right?
Yeah. Let's just.
It's like rock climbing and rock music, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Like you wouldn't put those two things together like that ordinarily, but now it's forever in my mind. I'm like, Maia, rock. By the way, come more this way, otherwise you're going to get out of the camera. Rock,
it was the best combination. It's like you're fed up with life, you're fed up with society, and then your friends are like, you want to go rock climbing this weekend? And I'm like, I don't have shoes, but let's go. So my first time rock climbing was without proper shoes, which is like rock climbing barefoot with the harness and everything. It's like samurai, like a cat, samurai cat. And then the next week I got my rock climbing shoes. And then the next week I quit alcohol and quit parties because I just wanted to focus in rock climbing.
Yeah.
It's like when you have like a shitty party or going rock climbing to like this beautiful mountain like 500 meters high where you're away from civilization, you have a cooler full of beers when you finish rock climbing, and you have camping gear and foods and friends, then you just devote your life for doing that the weekends.
You know, what's cracking me up about what you're saying, right? So with the rock climbing, I get the idea. I got from rock. I've tried it. I've got a few friends. My body maybe isn't quite a rock climbing body, but what the heck? We do it anyway. Yeah. And, you know, like what I've noticed is that, you know, I have one other friend actually who will come up first, who is like a base jumper, right? And to do base jumping, you have to become a rock climber first. And what he talks about, because base jumping, most of us think about, you know, like, yeah, I'm a rebel, I'm a crazy guy, I'm going to base jump, right?
Yeah.
But the way he explained it and described it to me, I realized that base jumping, you go through incredible procedures, actually, right? So, you don't just get up and just jump. Like, there's a rationale, there's a checklist that you need to go through to be as safe as you can within the madness, right? So I get that, you know, for him, this guy's a very expansive mind. It was phenomenal because it helped him to focus, right? Focus on something directly, and that was able to impact other areas of his life, right? Which is super cool. So for you, you know, you're this rebel, you don't fit in anywhere, like you don't feel part of anything, you know, you've got this subculture outlier vibe going on, dressed in black, going rock climbing on the weekends, maybe rock concerts during the week, whatever it was.
Right. That's right. Actually, one of our favorite sports after rock climbing was sneaking into rock concerts. It's like the weekends we were like, oh, Mars Volta is in town, let's sneak in. Oh, like the Rolling Stones is in town, let's sneak in to the BIP. Let's do it. And we would just like create like a crew, and we'd like create a plan between like 3 or 4 of us to sneak into the concert for free and go to the backstage.
And by the way, guys, in case you're wondering, I don't know Maia, right? I know her energy, but so I had no idea about this. So this is like a free flow. If you don't know it yet, so whatever comes, but it cracks me every week because there's always something that comes. It's like, how could I possibly know that? It's like, anyway, but it's a focus, right? So maybe there are some people here watching now, maybe they feel like an outlier, like you did, and they're wondering about what to do, and they've got a sense of this, there's this lady, Bronnie Ware, right? Bronnie Ware, B-R-O-N-N-I-E, then W-A-R-E. So Bronnie Ware is a terminal care nurse. So palliative care, basically when you are deemed to have 2 weeks or less left to live, you go to a specific place, which we call palliative care. After they had realized or made peace with the fact that they were going to pass on to the next, whatever you want to call it, refer to it, the next incarnation, she would ask them this question, right? Is there any regrets that you have about your life? Big question, right? So she did this for hundreds of guests, hundreds of patients. And the number one regret of the dying was this, right? It was, I wish that I would have lived the life that I wanted to lead, not the life that others wanted me to. So I'll quickly repeat that again. So number one regret of the dying, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. It's called Regrets of the Dying. You can find it online. And yeah, it was, I wish I would have led the life that I wanted to lead, not the life that others wanted me to. So then coming from that filter, there are people out there who are outliers, who do not fit in anywhere or feel like they don't, right? Now, you're doing it, you found your crew, right? Rock climbers, rock concerts, VIP, Rolling Stones is pretty cool. Right, we'll get into that. So, like, when it comes down to this, what would you advise or suggest that they actually do? Because they're in a space now of doubt, right? Possibly. And maybe you're in a state of doubt. So what did you do to overcome that state of doubt and walk into a place where now you feel like you're in flow and you're exactly where you need to be?
So first of all, you need to find like what's your biggest excitement in life. And like what's your passion? What motivates you? And once you find what's the biggest excitement for today, then you have your signal. You have your motivation. And one other thing that I like to tell myself is, if this was the last day of your life, what will you do with it? Who will you call? Who will you hang out with? What will you do? What will you eat? Where will you go? And then you go and do it. It's that you walk out of the door and you do exactly the things that you're guided from your heart, and you connect with the people that you're guided from a heart level as well. So you're being directed by a higher force. It's like this could be your own volition, this could be your intellect, but essentially if you go deep into your heart, you're being guided by a higher force and by following the highest excitement of your life. And that way, if you do this exercise of like carpe diem, memento mori, is like seize the day because you never know if you're going to die tomorrow, then you're going to have the most amazing day, because you're going to contact the people that you want to see. You're going to hang out with friends and lovers, and you're going to like try to climb a mountain or ride a motorcycle or go swimming, or like you can make a bucket list of things that you want to do today. And then start doing them, and like feeling good about fulfilling that.
Got it. And now, so I get a beautiful vibe from you. I'm sure everyone else here does as well, right? And through the filter of this gut, brain, and heart connection, gut, brain, heart, right? Through that connection, how can people find happiness? Because gut, brain, heart is a vital piece of our hardware, right? And software as well. And maybe we start to answer this question by explaining to people here, what is the connection between gut, heart, and brain? I think I said right. There you go. Cool. I said it right. Woo! Right. What's the connection? And then how can knowing and nurturing that connection create happiness?
Yeah, you say it pretty well. Actually, there's this word called gut, brain, heart axis. and it's like axis. Axis is an X, so it means that it's all interlinked. And there's recent studies are coming forward saying that whatever you put in your guts is going to influence your emotion, is going to influence your performance, your thought forms. So basically, you're thinking with the things that you just ate for lunch. So your gut microbiome is this little thin piece of lining of the size of a hair. So if you put pharmaceuticals or alcohol or very intense substances in your food, like highly processed foods, oily foods, mega spicy foods on a daily basis, you're going to make a hole in your gut lining and potentially to your stomach. And so let's just keep it surface level with the gut microbiome. How can we regenerate our gut microbiome? Number one is stop taking pharmaceuticals, even like Tylenol, ibuprofen, any kind of pharma that is made by a company that has like gazillion ingredients of it is going to damage your gut lining. Zach Bush, a really fascinating intellectual and doctor who I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have heard about. So he says that 1 round of pharmaceuticals is going to affect your gut microbiome for 3 months. One round. So that's 1 week of taking Tylenol or an antibiotic. You're going to suffer from that in your gut microbiome and in your mind, because it's also related to depression. Like if you damage your gut microbiome, you're not going to be able to generate enough dopamine and serotonin in your system. And without those chemicals in your brain, you're not going to be able to feel good. So we have this cycle of the majority of the population in America in this cycle of pharmaceuticals and like fast food and not being able to recover from chronic illness. And they just keep pumping more pharmaceuticals and going to the hospitals. So is this like a circular business of different conglomerates that are associated? For example, like all the food industry is like, have you read the ingredients in the cereal that you eat in the morning? So for everybody watching back home, if you grab your cereal, it has like 10 or 20 ingredients, and it has sugar and it has additives. But not only that, it has glyphosate. So most of the crops, especially soy, corn, what other crops? A lot of grain crops, wheat, the crops that go in the beer as well, the barley, are sprayed with glyphosate. So glyphosate comes from the same company as Monsanto and as Bayer and Pfizer. They all have their little like subgregates of glyphosate, which is herbicide. So when we consume non-organic cereals or non-organic products, non-organic meats and eggs and products, we're pumping pharmaceuticals into your blood system. It's like not necessarily you have to consume the pharmaceuticals to damage your gut lining, but also if you're consuming, let's say, Quaker oats, which is one of the top 1 marking glyphosate concentration in the list. Like if you go to Google and type top ranking foods in the world, Quaker oats and Cheerios mark number 1, and that's like the favorite brand of kids and a lot of millions of people across the world. And nobody knows about this because it doesn't come in the news. It's just some things that you start like realizing after many years of research. And for example, I've been deep into nutrition and I've been a plant-based chef and naturopathic herbalist for more than 10 years. It's probably since I was 18 I started researching these topics.
You know, like, so I get that, right? So we are doing tremendous damage to our systems by ingesting these types of materials which are synthetically made, right? Mm-hmm. And okay, so then here's the thing. So you've got the God brain, right? So brain, gut, heart connection, and what you're saying is that the food that we eat has a very strong impact into what we experience neurologically, right, in our brain. Those, as you mentioned, serotonin and these vital fluids that pump through our body that can make us feel happy, that can make us feel sad, and all those emotions. And our emotions creates thoughts, and thoughts create our things. Things are our world, matter. Right? Creates matter. Okay, so here's the thing which I've always wondered about this, right? And that is, the concept of let's go higher, let's go a little bit more expanded, right? So we're energy in the simplest form, broken down into micro tiny particles, right? and dust and space and all the rest of that. But we have an ability within us to change the frequency of the foods that we put into our system. Would you agree? Mm-hmm. Okay, so then if we have that ability, maybe it might be difficult to reach this point, but if we have the ability to do that, from that perspective, would it really matter what we put in our body, from that perspective?
100%. Yeah, because there's just enough things that you can do with the power of your mind. And what I would probably do is use the power of my mind to create boundaries. So by creating boundaries between the things that you want and you don't want in your life, or the things that you want to consume and you don't want to consume, you save time and energy. It's like, why would you have to spend so much time doing a liver detox, spend so much money and so much energy and suffering getting a liver cleanse, when you can just stop consuming alcohol? You can just stop consuming pharmaceuticals. You can stop consuming ketamine or whatever it is that people are consuming these days that damages their liver and their internal organs. So you just take the stressors out of in front of you. You take out of the stressors, the environmental stressors, as much as you can. You take out the toxins of your food. You take out the pharmaceuticals. And you start integrating organic foods. You start integrating clean water. You start integrating live foods, raw foods, organic produce, organic meats if you choose to. Because I'm not here to tell people what to eat or not to eat, or what kind of philosophy to integrate in their life. But I can tell them that if you go to the supermarket, if you buy packaged foods, you're going to be eating glyphosate. So if you're going to eat meat, make sure it's organic, make sure it's wild, make sure it's something connected still to the source of life, and that you're not supporting the source of death, of the pharmaceuticals, of like glyphosate and Monsanto.
So now I'm getting a sense here. This is a part that some people may have questions. So if you do have a question, just raise your hand, and we've got another microphone, right, guys? Another microphone? Yep, we do. Woo! So raise your hand, because this topic can get a bit. People may have questions, right? If you do, by the way, questions. Some of us are probably thinking, "Hey, I can't answer that question. It's so silly, Like they've probably covered it already. Like, I don't want to be embarrassed." So if you're in that place, don't, because the concept, not even the concept, how this works is that we're all here and we're all in the same space and time, and we've created this collective moment, right? So if you're thinking of it, it means that someone else is too. But maybe that somebody else hasn't got the courage to ask the question. So no question is too silly. So if you do have a question about this or anything that's come up so far, feel free to raise your hand and we can get the microphone to you. Just remember to point the microphone towards your mouth, which people sometimes forget. And feel free just to ask your question. You can start by, "My question is," all right? So I just want to put that out there. So to invite any of you who are here to take that up. So now what we're saying here is that one thing that's really important is that you start to substitute the things in your life that you're doing on a day-to-day basis. The foods you're eating, maybe we substitute that food for a healthy alternative. We cut out pharma, right? And then as we move through our day and our lives and the things that we usually do, we look to see which things here can I substitute for a better option, right? Okay, so then in this way we can do it in a way that's scalable, that can happen. Because if we just say to some people, stop everything you're doing, change your life, that maybe for some they need to do that, right? But just in maybe from a work point of view, whichever comes up actually. So what has been a case for you, maybe it's yourself, that you've noticed huge changes in a short period of time when people start to embrace this way of living?
I would probably just use myself as an example. The biggest change that I've seen from using pharmaceuticals into natural bactericides was when I became very sick of Lyme disease. This was 4 years ago. So I was 30-something at the time, and I was coming from Canada to Mexico, and then I was just really becoming slower and slower, and I would just sleep in the middle of the day. And then one day, like, I thought that my liver was malfunctioning because I was just like this sweating and so much pain in my head and in my body. And then I started having those symptoms. And then I couldn't go to the hospital because it was just super late at night. So I started like researching the symptoms, and I make a list of 10, and I was like, wow, this sounds like Lyme disease. And then the next day I continued researching, and I told my dad, who is a doctor, and I was like, hey Dad, I think I have Lyme disease. And he's like, we need to do a blood test. And I'm like, yeah, sure, but it's gonna take like a week. And I'm like feeling like awful. And so he helped me get the pharmaceuticals right away, so that he could stop the pain, and so he could stop the bacteria from multiplying. So we did that, and then of course the pharmaceuticals stop the bacteria, but it's just for a certain time, because what I realized is the bacteria was mutating and adapting to the pharmaceuticals very quickly. It was a very fucking intelligent bacteria. So, and very invasive to the system. It's like starts crawling to your system, and it like comes to your brain and your digestive system and your heart and your arteries, and your body just starts shutting down. And it was a pretty scary moment. And I was like, okay, let's go to like the pharmaceutical way for like a week or two, and then by week 2 I knew that I had to stop. But I was still researching the information to get all the protocols in line so that I can jump from pharmaceuticals to natural bactericides and natural antivirals and natural supplements. So by that time I was collecting plants and supplements and herbs and oregano oil and Japanese knotweed and grapeseed oil and a bunch of other supplements to just keep my body pumping, to like support my system. Medicinal mushrooms, where it's like this great support to have like reishi, cordyceps, chaga, all these medicinal mushrooms adapt to your organs. So if that's like a takeaway that people are going to take from this conversation, is get yourself medicinal mushrooms, get yourself natural antivirals and antibacterials. So by week 3, my digestive system was destroyed completely. Like, it was not functioning. It was like I was not able to retain food or anything. It was like this constant diarrhea, and that was the pharmaceuticals. So in that moment, I was like, I'm quitting. Like, I'm done. And at that time, I had already the plant bactericides in line, so that I did the jump. And all my family, composed of like 3 medical doctors, they're like, oh, you're crazy, what are you doing? Like, you have this doctor that is like the top in like his career, And I'm like, he's not top. It's like what I've read, what I've researched on my own, and in the last few weeks of my life, is that he is not capable to treat my case, and I don't want to see him ever again. He's just a waste of my time. Because I knew that I was on a time race, and if I was to save my life, I needed to just stick to life. And to like organic, natural bactericides save my life.
You know, like, you see, that's a big thing, because you're going against the Western, let's call it that, the Western system of healthcare, right? You know, going away from pharma and into natural, right? Which I'm sure people, by the way, is there anyone else here, just put your hand up. Anyone here who's used natural medicine to heal themselves of anything? Just want to see 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay, thank you. So infinite intelligence. Okay, so my first question to you is, what does infinite intelligence mean to you? And then the second part to that question is, how do you access it? Now, the reason why I ask it is because, the experience which I've had in this area, what I've felt and what I've seen and connected to on occasion, and I try and get there as often as I can, is this: it's actually the infinite intelligence, when you allow it to flow through you, allows you to heal whatever's going on, right? So it's a loaded question, right? But that's what's true for me. I'm not saying it's true for you. So the first part of the question is infinite intelligence. What does it mean to you in context of healing your body? And the second thing is, how do you tap into it?
Infinite intelligence is like the God source, creation, life force, nature. Infinite intelligence is the sunlight. Infinite intelligence is the life within the plants, the life within your DNA, the life within your blood. Is like, that's the infinite intelligence that resides within our bodies. And we forget that it's there. It's like we forget that we are children of God. So when we go to nature and we see these like majestic pine trees and majestic waterfalls and rivers and rocks and animals, we are reminded of the majesty of the divine energy. Because we see it, like there is no way that if you go and stand in front of the waterfall, you're not going to be in awe and you're not going to be in this state of beauty and expansion. It's because you're in presence of that primordial life source of energy. And the more time you spend in nature or in those expanded states of awareness, the more connected you're going to be to divine energy. Therefore, you're going to be able to regenerate your systems at a faster pace. So that's one of the things that I learned when I was fighting against Lyme disease, is I realized that I was suffering a lot being inside my home and like being on a bed most of the day because the outside world was so overwhelming for me to live outside. Like the sound was overwhelming, the light was overwhelming. I had pain all over my body, so I was just in my room. And at some point, I was like, I'm just gonna gain enough energy and life force to go out to nature. So I made a plan with all my pack of supplements and natural medicines, and my boyfriend at the time, and we went camping to my favorite place in Mexico, which is called Yelapa. It's like a hidden gem in the jungle, and you hike a couple of hours and you arrive to this pristine, beautiful waterfall, river, sandy beach in the middle of the jungle. So this place, I have been camping there every year from age 21 to age 27, and is a place that I feel safe in. So when I was dying, I wanted to go there to be able to regenerate my life and regenerate my systems. And intuitively, I knew that I had to leave my home in the city to go to nature and be able to regenerate myself and become more powerful by camping and living in nature. And that was so healing. Like, it was so supporting into my process of regenerating like my gut microbiome and my brain and my heart and like the stamina and like cleansing my organs by drinking clean water, breathing fresh air, cleansing in the river, meditating on the sun, all these basic things that are free and available to everyone, that everybody who is willing to take the extra leg out of society and immerse back into a camping trip. And the vision quest. It's like, if you take 1 or 2 or 3, at least 3 days, maybe you take 5 days and go into nature and do like a little expedition, camping or a little cabin. It's like one of the most beautiful gifts that you can possibly give to yourself in this life.
Beautiful. And if there's anyone here who maybe put their hands up before to say that they experienced, natural healing, right, as opposed to going the way of Big Pharma, and maybe want to share their story or a little bit of it, feel free to put your hand up. It might be a bit challenging, a bit of courage needed, people, it's okay. But if you feel like sharing it, it will be enormously empowering to the people here. They can't see your face, remember. They'll hear your voice, but they can't see your face. So if you want to share, that would be beautiful, right? So just pop your hand up and we'll give you the mic. So now, something that you said earlier on, right? And I hope it's okay that I go there. If not, well, we can ask why. So anxiety, right? It's something that a lot of us face. I think everyone here, me, I put my hand up, I've absolutely faced anxiety, no doubt about it. And, I think the difference now is that maybe I have different tools to deal with it, right? And so I'm not such a victim of it, but I still experience it. Probably now, though, for less time than I would have done before. So, now, earlier on, we had this set up for outside and moved inside. So I'm curious to know, so what comes up for you when you're outside and these sounds come in? What goes on the internal side of you, and how does it feel? Because I'd love to know a little bit more. And through maybe going into this, there's some other people here that I know will get value out of it. That's the reason why I'm asking you.
Okay. So a little bit more further explanation is that when I came to the studio was not indoors. They have changed it to outdoors. So what happened outdoors is we're in the crossroads of the crossroad in Barawa and the shortcut, and there's gazillion motorcycles and noise and waiters and restaurant and too many environmental stressors, too many environmental distractions and noise. And I made a phone call to Rob and I was like, you know what? We really need to change the studio back inside because number one, the sound's going to be better inside. It's going to be a more control element. It's going to be warmer. It's going to feel safer. And it's also going to be great for the audience to have a more contained space. And when I found these unpredicted challenges, the stress comes in, but then the brain plasticity comes into action and say there's an alternative. I can make a phone call and ask the crew if we can change the studio inside so that we can get rid of all the environmental stressors and noise and that we can have a deeper conversation.
So with those environmental stresses, so what happens in your body, right? So maybe we're outside, we're having a conversation similar to the one we're having now, right? And then you hear a bike go by, or you hear someone talking, or a car go by. So what happens on the inside of you? That's my question. So what is happening in your body, mind, system, spiritually, energetically, and so on?
I don't know, Rob. It's a pretty intimate question. So
it is.
I really don't know. It's very meta discursive because it's just now. So there's not enough space for me to explain.
No, all good.
Yeah.
So by the way, those of you watching, so as I said, none of this is rehearsed. It's not supposed to be, and it's flow, right? So it's things which come up, are supposed to come up, and we answer it. And the beautiful thing about what I love about what happens here is that, you see, you are a beautiful guest, right? And very, very sensitive, very expansive at the same time, and very knowledgeable, right? And I love that, right? And you have a great energy. So someone like you who has many, or maybe you have quite a few interviews. So if you are watching this and you have lots of interviews, you'll be able to relate to this. What happens is that you get into an automatic pilot mode. You have all the stories for all the questions that you've ever been asked, and you just give it out. So then this interview becomes like an autopilot interview. I'm not saying there's not value there, because there's always value, but it's a bit of an autopilot. So what we like to do here with SpeakuP Monday is that, because I've been on your side as well quite a few times, and so what we love to create is a win-win for everybody. So what that means is that, and I've explained this before, so give me 1 minute and I could explain it. It's called a clock, right? So we've got a clock, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way to 12, like a clock, right? And then from 12 till 1 or 12 till 2 are the things that we know, I know my name, I know where I'm from, I know how tall I am, I know the size of my feet. Pretty large, right? And then that's the stuff that I know. And then like 2 to 4, say, is the stuff that I know that I don't know, right? And that could be that, you know, rockets go to the moon, maybe. I don't know how they get there. I've got an idea there's an engine behind it and there's propulsion taking us up. Okay, but I know that I don't know it. Then 4 till 12 is the stuff that I don't know. Now, this area is subconscious, unconscious. It's an area where we rarely go to, and that's where I like to take the guest to on this show. Why? Because it gets us out of this autopilot. I'm not saying in it because you're not actually in autopilot at all, but it gets us out of there, and then there's value for you. So what can sometimes happen that I've noticed is that, you know, a few days after, maybe there's some questions which are raised, because it's not me asking the questions, it's me listening and collective intelligence coming in. And so maybe a couple of days later, and this may be true for you guys watching as well, right? A couple of days later, there's something that sparks your imagination, and it takes you on another journey into that stuff that you don't know, and it creates something that leaves you in a state of insight, a state of like, wow, I didn't see that or realize that before, and it may take you on a journey somewhere else, which is a really cool place to be, and that's what we love to do here. So I really want to acknowledge you and applaud you for being part of that journey, because it always takes two, right?
Absolutely.
It always takes two. So look, one thing, remember, anyone who's got any questions, feel free to ask. Now, what pops in for me, right? So I get the sense of your journey, and I get the sense of, you know, how you do it, but I don't know why. So then if I ask you, you know, like, why is it that you do what you do, how would you respond?
Great question. Oh, wow, look, there's a cat.
Yeah, pussycat. Yeah.
So the why is a very important one, and always the why. Let me think, what's the biggest why in my career? Emancipation of the human soul.
There it is.
Yeah, emancipate, heal the mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual aspect of my own being, and also in other beings. Because when you heal yourself, you're also healing your lineage, you're healing your family, and you're healing the people that you get in contact with on a daily basis. Because the work that you do is going to be also beneficial for others. It's like the work that you do and you go to your land and you plant seeds is going to create fruits that is going to help other people. So every single book that I read in my life, every single person that I've learned information from, every single plant that I work with, every single effort that I made, it's all for emancipation. It's all to learn how to liberate myself so that I can pass on that information to other people. Because I know the immediacy of living in this planet and doing the best that we possibly can to do our job to not only become better humans, because I feel that we are already great human beings. It's like I feel like we're there already. All this effort is imaginary. We're already there as an amazing, beautiful human being. Amazing visitor. That's a great omen. So I feel it's not so much getting to a place of becoming like this enlightened, better human beings. We're already enlightened. We just forget about it. We're already amazing human beings. We just forget how to be a human being, because we're always in the human doing and in the human making. Wow, this is amazing. Cat in the interview. Wow, I love it.
Happy live, guys. We have a beautiful cat here at Tropical Nomad, and it just popped in.
And can you give me a massage? How awesome is that?
Give me a massage. This is what happens when you come live. You see all this stuff. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's a beautiful cat, this one as well. Yeah. Cool. Please
I love it. So, for me as a human being, like one of the biggest gifts is emancipate myself, because I'm not there yet. I feel like there's so many things that I still need to learn how to liberate myself from. I still feel that I have a baggage of we all have a baggage, and you just like imagine like a backpack with rocks that we collected in our life. If each rock is pain, is memories, is regret and anger, or any kind of memories that we carry along because we haven't had the opportunity to let go. So in this life and all these challenges that are happening around the world, it's a great opportunity for us to be like, you know what? I don't have time or energy to continue carrying this bag. It's like, I don't want to carry my pain and my anger anymore. It's like, I'm done. I just want to like leave behind this bag and become a new being. It's like become a new canvas, completely blank canvas. And I feel all these challenges and like the solar energy and the electromagnetic storms that are happening right now that you can actually check in the Schumann resonance or in like the NASA website. There's a lot of solar explosions happening right now, which means upgrades. If you have a plant and you position the plant with 24 hours of sunlight, this marijuana plant is going to grow a lot. So in the same capacity, if you're bombarded by more energy by the solar astro of our galaxy, you're going to have more evolution and transformation in your DNA. So these are things that I've read from other visionaries and psychics and astrologers and astronomers as well. But it's something that we can experience. Even without looking at the computer and the statistics, we can experience in our life that we're going through this massive transformation, and the person that we were last week is different to the person that we are here today. The person that we were like a month ago is different to the person that we are here today. And the person who we're going to become in the next few months is going to become so much more beautiful and so much more powerful. We just need to be willing to let go to the persona that we were before. We need to let go of the pain and the stress and the PTSD and the trauma and the oppression that we have been, I wouldn't say victims, but that we have been in the path of. Because when you stop calling yourself a victim, then you become a victor. From victory, you're like winning. So in order to heal from, let's say, a chronic illness like the one I had, the first thing that I realized is that for me to be able to win a battle, to win my life back, was to tell myself that I'm winning. It's like every day I would wake up and I'd be like, and today you're going to win this battle. And today you're going to conquer it, and you're going to kill all those bacterias, and you're going to have an awesome day. And even if I didn't have an awesome day, I was saying it, and I was claiming it, and I was fighting for it. And that way, like, I'm telling myself, like, you're winning this battle, bitch. It's like you're winning it. It's like you're telling every single cell in your body that you're winning, and you're reclaiming your cells. You're claiming you're winning from cancer. You're winning from COVID. You're winning from any bacterial, viral invasion into your body. You claim it, and you're speaking to every cell in your body and to every pathogen, and you're reclaiming. You say, I own this boat. This is my vessel. This is my life, and I'm not gonna allow any bacteria or disease to take my life away. Because I could read it in the statistics of like millions of patients that were not recovering because they were so into pharmaceuticals. It was a cycle. It was a cycle. Like the bacteria or the virus would keep mutating and adapting to the pharmaceuticals. Is what people do not understand right now with the institutions trying to like administrate pharmaceuticals for a virus that has a solution in the natural world. It's like there's hundreds of plants in Asia, in every single country, in Europe, in America, Central and South America, and in the islands. Everybody has medicines for every condition in the world, and they're in the natural world. It's like more than 80% of the pharmaceuticals out there were based in plants. like the compositions. They went to the Amazon jungle. There's so many explorers that were sent into the Amazon, such as like Richard Even Schultes, who's like one of the biggest plant explorers and chemists and herbalists in the world. And he was funded by pharmaceuticals to go into the Amazon jungle and go explore and ask the shamans, hey, what's the plant that helps this illness? And then they took the plants to Switzerland, and then they patent those plants, and they turn it into things that they could sell to a consumer and make money out of them. And then all the other plants that were not able to patent, the natural plants such as like marijuana and kratom and like mushrooms and peyote and ayahuasca, all those plants you can't patent them, so they make them illegal. They make all these powerful medicines, they make them illegal, they put in on a chart as if beside heroin, as if they were evil, and they're not. These plants are angelic. It's like the plants and the trees and the animals, they all are gifts to humankind for us to be able to heal ourselves. So when we awake to this reality, that the plants and the trees are here to heal us and to help us regenerate ourselves at a multi-level, then we start devoting our life into protecting these plants, into protecting these trees. And that's what I did when I was 18 years old. When I realized that the plants and the indigenous people of the world were our biggest allies into protecting our trees and our nature and our water and our non-renewable resources, I was like, I'm going to join forces with indigenous people because they need my help. They need my literacy in the online world. They need my camera. They need my graphic design skills. I'm going to build them a website. I'm going to put the stories in the side. I'm going to put their films in a website, and I'm going to tell the stories to the world. So that's what I did when I was between 18 and 27. I did a multimedia platform called Ameriqua. Rescate Madre Ameriqua, which is Rescue Mother Ameriqua, which is my continent. And I started promoting indigenous filmmakers and their stories so that the world would be able to know the stories and the problematics happening in Canada, Mexico, Guatemala, Brazil, and Central America. Yeah. And so that they could be backed by people with money so they could be supporting those causes, and so that we can continue protecting those trees, those jungles, those medicines. And those are really big causes that still exist, and there's even more causes right now that are calling for attention and our support. So that's one of my other whys. Is like, why am I an artist? Why am I an activist? Why am I a plant person? Is to protect trees and to protect indigenous people in the world.
You know, like, I love that. You know, like, that's you got the juice, girl. You know, for want of a better term, you got the juice. You got the juice. Who was feeling the juice then? I was feeling the juice. I don't know about you. I'm sure you were too. It was like, whew, respect. You know, so if someone wants to get in touch with you, what's the easiest way? Because they've seen you now, right? They've seen you in like a lot, and they feel you. So now, how can somebody work with you? How can someone contribute to you, actually? So by contribute, it isn't one of like, you know, like a egoic contribute. It's more of a, for me to complete the mission that I have, how can people contribute to me, right? So it's like giving and receiving love, actually. So if I ask you, you know, like, firstly, how can people contact you? And secondly, how can people contribute to you? Could even be your mission.
By contributing to themselves. Yeah, if you heal yourself and if you really make the work to cleanse your life, to strengthen your life, and to reach to the people and to the mentors and to go read the books, go listen to the podcast of the masters, reach for mentors, reach for support with your friends, talk about your dreams, talk about the things that you want to create in life, engage, create, reach out. If you start exercising those connectivity principles, then you're going to be able to heal yourself more quickly or a more sustainable way, because you heal yourself through your community. It's like I'm healing myself by having this conversation with you, and then the audience is healing themselves by having this interaction with us today. There's so many different healing pieces. And one of the things that I love to offer to my clients is, first of all, to ask them how they want to be supported, and then also what is one of their main issues. Because energetically you can't focus in your healing if there's something that is really bothering you. So I like to listen to the problems of my clients and offering them instantaneous solutions, because sometimes it's real easy. It's like when people, they're so fixated in their problems, but sometimes it's just something very easy that you can change and you solve automatically. Probably a problem that you haven't talked to your parent or your relative, and then somebody else tell them, you just pick up the phone and make the phone call. Right? So easy.
I was about to ask you, I'm glad you asked that. It's like, I was about to ask you, what? And you love it.
Yeah. So sometimes it's so easy. Sometimes you just need to bounce the information with somebody who has done the path, who's done the work, who has like probably an insight. So that's one of the things that I call quantum psychology. It's like I analyze where you're standing, I analyze like your history, and then with those pieces, I try to like help you create your new narrative, so that you not only change your present, but you also change your past. So by changing the way you see your story, you stop seeing yourself as a victim, and you start seeing yourself with more compassion towards somebody that affected you, or a broken relationship, or your parents, or your childhood wounds, and you start seeing everything from a new mirror, from a new glass, or new sets of shades, with more compassion and self-love and appreciation, and so that you can take those pieces of broken, shattered glass and turn them into a beautiful piece of ceramic, just like the Japanese, whenever a beautiful piece of ceramic breaks, they don't throw it away, they just get a piece of molten gold, and they seal the ceramic with gold. And they say that this is equivalent to the human heart. When your human heart breaks, it becomes stronger. And only through the cracks is that the light comes in.
That's nice.
Like if your heart never breaks, you're just gonna be in this really safe, boring space in life. But it's through the cracks that the light of the sun comes in, so that the sprouts of the roots of your heart can spread and become a tree.
That's so powerful. You know, that one line there is a $1 million takeaway. You know, beautiful, Maia. Like, really cool. Like, ooh. And I love. So, any questions, guys? We're coming towards the end now. So you got questions? So,
I have no question.
okay.
It's just an answer to the question about how.
Stop there. We're going to give you a microphone.
In a microphone.
Yeah, the reason why, because then other people can hear what you're about to say, and I know it's going to be wisdom.
Yes, I wanted to say at the end of after you finish. Like after you finish, I can just answer the question. Yeah. All right. Thank you for the event. It's very informative. So the question was how you can heal yourself naturally, right? So in the past, let's say 1.5 to 2 years, I started to believe, and I discovered that every single dis-ease, let's call it, coming from the way we think, and it's the way the body is trying to connect with us and communicate, because there is no language that, like, my leg will not tell me, ouch, like, hey, there's something, but it will ache, for instance. And I would say this is happening from inside of us, and this is how the body is communicating with us, and by talking to our subconscious mind, we can heal ourselves just by thought alone.
And what's your question?
No, it was not a question, it was an answer to your question. It was an answer to Rob's question, actually, yeah.
So thank you, darling. So what she was giving us a different insight, a different way of looking at answering that question, which is super cool. So thank you for that contribution. Really appreciate it. My brother.
Yeah, I was just, a little bit confused throughout the years looking for support out there, because I was reaching out to various sorts of practitioners, and some of them were like Western practitioners, some of them are Eastern practitioners, and well, while being in Europe, it was quite a challenging thing. It's not a challenging thing over here. Just go to Ubud and you get, a handful of various sorts of practitioners, you can imagine, they all pop up all around. That's not a problem, yeah. But back in Europe, where I'm coming from, it's kind of a challenging thing, So the question was, how would you approach, this path of searching for support out there, of reaching out to someone to support? How actually to tell the difference between someone legit and someone fake, specifically when it comes to holistic practitioners? Because all this biohacking, breathwork thing, who's the right guy, who's the right girl out there? How would you tell the difference?
Good question.
What I experience is not so hard to discern who is a skilled biohacker. It's more difficult to discern who is a shaman or like a spiritual teacher. That's the hardest thing that for me, even somebody who has worked with different kinds of practitioners through the years. But one of the things that I do is before working with someone, I invite them for tea or lunch and just have a normal conversation with them. And if they're a good quality human being and they're knowledgeable of their subjects and they have a good background, and essentially if they have a good heart, they're good at what they do.
I really appreciate, thank you for that, by the way. I really appreciate his question, because what I'm getting from his question as well is that, we're in beautiful Canggu, right? We said this before at the beginning, right? It feels like, because Bali is an immensely connected place, as we all know. Kinetic activity, the healing on this island is ridiculous, right? It's beautiful, right? People coming to be healed and to heal others and all the rest of that. The magnetism is fantastic. Right, so I feel what that question speaks about to me is that being in Canggu, there seems to be a lot of people, right, who say that they're biohacker, breathwork specialist, guru, someone who's like connected. I can heal you, right?
Tantra shaman, the Tantra shaman,
a shaman, right? And I get the question, right? It's like, man, I want to be healed, right? I want to choose the right person, but then I've heard lots of things, right, about there are some who. One guy, breathwork, Brian, Yogi Lab, done his breathwork retreat 2 weeks ago. Guy is amazing. So that's one from Yogi Lab who I know is good. I haven't tried your breathwork, but I just know you're going to be good. So there's two, right?
I'm not a breathwork facilitator. I'm more like a optimizing system facilitator. So it's like diet, nutrition, biohacking, neurohacking. Neurohacking. Qigong, and a little bit of psychology as well.
Love it, So I get your question, right? And so what you're saying, for those of you at home or here, is like, well, before you choose someone, you obviously need to be comfortable. Maybe sit down with them, in like nothing to do with work, like with a cup of tea for you, a pot of tea. Let me get it right, and just be normal in the sense of just getting to know somebody and to see if they know their topic, see if they know their subject, to see if you feel comfortable with them. Kind of do what we're doing now. Do a little speak up session with them, right? Ask some questions, some easy, some difficult, and see how you feel, because there seems to be so many gurus around, right? So many gurus and shamans and connected, and are they all gurus and shamans? I don't know. I doubt.
But talking about the answer that Maia gave to us, I tend to believe that animals really sense that good energy, or sattvic energy, like it's called in yogic tradition. And the cat went all around the room, checked everyone, including Rob and myself, and somehow the cat stopped next to you, so he's hanging out with you, and that, I believe, is for a reason.
Yeah.
Nice, totally. Yeah, animals are very intuitive. And I feel like we should be more intuitive.
Yeah.
And because we're animals too, right? We're social animals. We just need to really attune our senses to be able to pick up those nuances in people and know when we are in front of a true master, in front of a true teacher. Is that I've been like learning different skills through the years. And when I was in Mexico, I would go with indigenous teachers, and they would teach me for free. They would just see my spirit and see that I was like really willing to learn from them. And they would just invite me to their house, and we would like go to their garden and pick up herbs and make teas and tinctures and stuff. And they would never ask me for money. It's just based on donations. And if you would provide the donation, and whoever was a poor person will not provide a donation, and whoever was a millionaire would probably provide a big donation by choice. And when with the donation of the millionaire, my friend, my medicine teacher, Gitanjali, would support thousands of poor indigenous people, and she would like create medicines with the money of the rich. She would create these like vibrational tinctures of plants, and then she would just deliver them for free in indigenous communities in need. And so that became really ingrained within my soul, to like the gift of giving and the gift of supporting and the gift of supporting, providing medicines and food and toolkits, because she could, because she had the energy, because she had the willingness, and she had a purpose. So then when I come here to Bali and landed in Ubud, and I asked a friend, I asked her, so I'm like, this was like 3 years ago, I'm like really depressed, I would love to talk to you, and like, could we do a session for a trade? I create these really beautiful pieces of jewelry. And she's like, oh, I don't know, I charge like $150 per session. And I was like, all right. And just like hang up, and I was like, wow, I thought that was a friend. And that was really shocking for me to like realize that people here were charging $150 per hour of like a breathwork session, or like a I don't know, like a just support session per hour. I was like, wow. In Mexico, these kind of things are by frequency, by donation, depending on the person, depending on the situation. It's like there's so many different ways. Of course, people have to charge for their services. Of course, there has to be a price. But I also believe in these super challenging times that we're living, we should be able to adapt our services and our products to be able to like barter our services and our products with other individuals. It's like I practice this system of exchanging my services with people who cannot afford my services, and I'm like, okay, what do you want to offer? I'm open. And always being open, because if you say no to a person based in money, what are you saying of yourself? It's like, well, how are you presenting yourself to the world? So I like to remember the path and the legacy of my teachers of always give and always offer, and even to those people who cannot afford your service, if you ask them the question of like, what are you willing to share? And if you have something valuable from their heart to contribute into your life, that's so beautiful. Even if it's just vegetables or apples or a drawing or something that they created with their hands, sometimes it's so much more rewarding than those $100.
Yeah. You know, I agree with all of that. And you know, that system of donation could be a really good way to do it, actually. I know a few people who do that. I do that sometimes. But I think it's a really great way to go, you know, based upon everything that's happening now. And two things. So in answer to your question, so with the cat, what I noticed, you may have noticed it, maybe making something out of nothing happens, is that the cat came in during that question. That's when the cat came in. And for me, I feel that the animals and nature is there to help us heal. Just a little observation. So now, are there any other questions, actually? That's what I want to go through first. Or people wanting to share something, that's okay. Do. All right, cool. Everyone's been like, today's like that. You're gonna commit. Oh, no.
Everybody's receiving mode.
Yeah. Because it's interesting. We had this chat earlier on, and as I was explaining to somebody else, you know, who hadn't been before, just saying that the energy of every SpeakuP Monday is different, and it's based upon what is supposed to happen. So there's no trying to organize in advance. You know, the energy for tonight is going to be like that. It doesn't happen. We sit down and we talk, and the energy comes, and we go with it.
Yeah, and we never know who's gonna come in the audience.
No, you never. It's a bit like a birthday party, right? When you're kind of stressing out, so we don't stress anymore, right? But it's like a birthday party. You're like, you invite all of these people. Maybe you have an idea in your mind, and you hope that they all come. And then what you realize is that the ones who came were the ones who were supposed to. And why were you stressing in the first place? It's a bit like that.
Yeah, and I feel like we're all co-creating this. Even if you guys are there in your seat and you're in silence, I feel like by putting your consciousness and your energy into this room and to your space, we're like connecting our brains into this like network. And like we're sharing ideas, and we're sharing like lifestyles and frequencies. And this is like one of the most positive things that we can do as human beings, is putting ourselves together in a circle, in a round table, in a space that we can like converge about really important topics and talk about it. It's like one of the things that I'm really encouraging people to do is to be real with every person that you meet through your day. It's like with your cashier, with your server, with your, like whoever comes across in your day, and you have like a one-on-one interaction with them looking at the eye. It's like, how are you? How are you feeling today? And then for you to be open enough to say exactly how you're feeling. Not a mask, not the usual, oh great, thank you. No, like how do you feel? Like exactly what are you going through? And maybe when you share that piece, you're gonna give the opportunity to the other person to be real as well. And in that exchange, that's where humanity becomes stronger, in the exchange of our hearts and our reality. And the more people that we start talking to and connecting with that we usually don't talk to, that we usually don't connect with, the stronger we become, not just as individuals, but as society. It's like right now we're all being called to like come back to the plazas, come back to the parks, come back to the living rooms and the spaces of ceremonial co-creation of ideas. And one of the topics that I also wanted to like share with you today is that I'm feeling really, really ready to create like a sustainable community, sustainable village. I feel like I've been preparing myself for like 18 years of my life. It's like going to other people's sustainable communities, other villages in Central South America, the most beautiful ones in Costa Rica and in Mexico and in Canada as well. So with all this knowledge, I'm like, I want to create a community. I want to create a beautiful community with other people in this island. And I feel like we have all the sustainable systems to create an organic lifestyle and detach ourselves from decentralized economy, decentralized energetic, decentralized food. It's like we have the power to become a sustainable island and a sustainable society and a sustainable community. And we just need to start talking about it and creating pods with other individuals. And for like people back home and watching online, you can also do that wherever you are in the world. You can start creating pods and congregating with other people and merging your money and your power and your strategies. It's like if you don't have enough money to buy a plot of land on your own, I'm pretty sure if you merge forces with 5 or 10 people, you're gonna be able to buy land. So right now, one of the biggest downloads that I get is that we need to become self-sustainable, and we need to stop supporting the banking system, which is pretty clear at this point for everyone. And we also need to stop supporting processed foods and pharmaceuticals, and we also need to start supporting organic farming. We need to stop supporting reforestation programs. There's a lot of programs here in Indonesia and every single country in the world that you can subscribe to and support to plant more trees, because trees are our lungs, trees are friends, trees are medicine. And one other big truth bomb that I want to drop is pine needle tree is going to become one of the biggest medicines and support the immunity of humanity. pine needle tea 3 times per day will support your cells and protect them from the spike proteins of COVID and from the spike proteins potentially created by pharmaceuticals. That's one of the narratives that is going right now in the alternative medical community around the world. And we've been talking about this for the last 4 weeks. And finally, last week, somebody came with the solution that pine needle tree will protect our immunity and our cells.
Wonderful. You know, I was going to ask you about that, and I'm glad you mentioned now, so that's really good to know. Really cool. And look, if there are any more questions, please let me know. Otherwise, so what we're going to do, so as you might know, because you've watched a few of these, is so we're going to be closing the show soon. But what we always do is give you, and I know you've given us a few truth bombs already, there's a few more in there, right? So if you can basically, not yet, maybe about a minute and a half's time, whatever's coming up for you that you'd like to close the show with or share. It might be, reaffirming something that you've already said, or it might be something completely different that you're like, I actually want to say this. And as long as, or as short as you like. So in about a minute and a half, I'll give you that opportunity, darling, so you can just, maybe in 2 minutes, so you can just chill and see what comes in. While we're doing that, I just want to acknowledge you for being the courageous, beautiful spirit that you are in volunteering for this, because you knew what you were in for. Right? You knew. And yet you still raised your hand and you came and you gave as much of yourself as you could. So I just want to acknowledge you and thank you for doing that and enlightening us all with some incredible knowledge, massive heart, and that deep sense of kind of Maya, South America energy that surrounds you, that binds you, that clearly is something that you wear on your sleeve. Literally, is who you are, is who you walk in, right? And that's beautiful to see. It's inspiring, right? Not just for me, but for everyone here.
Well, it takes one warrior to know one, brother.
My girl, my sister. We'll get a hug afterwards. Now, so for those of you watching here, remember, 6:30 every Monday here at Tropical Nomad. Thank you, brother Itchy. Bella Guzman is in here as well. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. And obviously to you watching either here, there, or there, from here as well, apparently. There's a few watching, looking down at us. So remember, you can be part of the studio audience. Just come along, 6:30, Mondays here at Tropical Nomad. Now remember also that we have Clubhouse. So Speak Up Monday, 3 versions. One is Speak Up Monday Destination Indonesia, which is live studio audience and this. And then Tuesday morning, so tomorrow morning, Bartley time, 7 a.m. we have a Clubhouse version. That one will be with Scarlett O'Connor. And this week is all about how to come back from setbacks, how to set yourself up, right? And so tomorrow, Scarlett, she's called the comeback queen, or the resilience, queen of resilience, that's it. She has an amazing story. So tomorrow, 7 a.m. on Clubhouse, if you can get up. If you're in the US, it's 4 o'clock if you're on the West Coast, and 7 o'clock if you're on the East Coast. And then we have an Inspiring Humanity series, which is Benedetto Daniele Fiorista, who is a guy who's deeply rooted in spirit, energy, the Shavot, Buddha. Like, this guy has spent many years studying the ancient religions, the ancient texts throughout the world. And we've got a Q&A 3 p.m. on Tuesday with him, so feel free to drop in. And finally, I think Tuesdays 5:30 I'll be doing a little share, and that is also about speak your purpose. Tap into your purpose and speak from that purpose and spread your message to millions, right? Potentially millions anyway. So that's what's coming. Thank you for being here. And finally, actually, Itchy, myself, and a few other eminent, wonderful people are working on a sustainable summit, which will be large, which will be in Bali towards Q4 of this year. You're in it. You're part of it.
Amazing.
Right? You're part of it. So I love what you had to say about that. And I was laughing to myself, like, giggling, going like, sustainability, she's in. Right? You'll be, and I love what you had to say about that. And we feel it too. So without further ado, over to you. And then afterwards, we'll have a round of applause and I'll give you a big hug.
I'm really impressed, Rob, that you're navigating triple podcasts. Is that per day? Per week.
Yeah.
Triple podcasts in all dimensions. Rob's there. Boom. Legend. This is number 123 interviews that Rob has conducted in this island. Big props for that. It takes a lot of stamina. It takes a lot of power. It takes a lot of discipline. Wow, impressed. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for holding it down for all of us here in this island to be able to have a platform and a container to share our stories and our dreams. Thank you for being a dream maker and an entrepreneur as you are. Yeah, so I brought a little something to share with you. So this is my brand new collection of essential oils. Those are organic, made by a Balinese oil master. So this is cinnamon. And cinnamon, not only it's really delicious, but it's also anti-anxiety, antidepressive, antiviral, antibiotic, and digestive system support. So yeah, put your hand. And you just need a few drops of cinnamon. And then try it. Yeah, you get to lick it.
Oh, that's delicious. That tastes really good. It's like, off camera I'll be like,
yeah.
Off camera, I'm trying to hold it together, and I give you like the sanitized response. Oh, that's quite delicious.
Yeah.
But really, that is damn tasty. That is really good.
Yeah, and that's what it creates in your brain. It goes across your blood-brain barrier, direct message to your brain. You're awake, you're happy, you're more focused. So for many years, I was using this oil, and I was like, yeah, it feels awesome, and it helps me focus, and it helps me get rid of anxiety. And then I read some medical papers for the last few months while I was developing this product, and I was like, confirmed, it's antidepressive and anti-anxiety, because it goes to your brain, and it's a concentration of like a really big concentration of cinnamon. So let's say you're drinking like 20 cups of cinnamon just in a drop.
Wow.
Concentrated. So that's the power of essential oils. It's like the concentrated power of plants in just one drop or a few drops in your skin or by inhalation. Because like when you breathe an essential oil, it goes directly into your brain and it rewires your brain. So a lot of the essential oils are rewiring your brain against sadness, depression, anxiety. It's like digestive system support. And this is a new line of oils that I'm about to launch next week. And supporting Balinese organic oil producers and then bringing the magic to the people.
I'm not interrupting you, but I've seen my brother Eugene just step into the room. Hello, my brother. Now, very welcome. So what I'm saying, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling is the cinnamon is for you. That's all I'm going to say. You have to, not now, but after this, try the cinnamon.
No, actually, I'm going to give a round to cinnamon to everybody in the studio.
Cinnamon. Yes.
Yeah.
It's cinnamon, yes.
Yeah, we're gonna do cinnamon and tea.
Love it.
Yeah. So it's a great combination. Just like you bring your like essential oil box set. Like, do you ever saw the movie The Perfume?
No.
Oh my God, we need to watch it. Okay. So this guy in The Perfume had a little box set of 7 different tones of oils, and each tone of each oil was for a different chakra or a different emotion. So then when you mix all this into your life, you're like enhancing the power of your plants and supporting your systems by giving them a concentrated dose of plants. So it's like instead of eating like a bunch of peppermint, you can just take a few drops of peppermint and you get the benefits of it being antibacterial, cleansing your blood, and supporting your brain chemistry.
How do we get these? How can people get these? How can they get them? How can they buy them? How can they support you?
Just shoot me up a message on Instagram, Maia Inti Amaru, or in Facebook, but I'm trying to be more present in Instagram because Facebook can get too overwhelming.
So Maia, so M-A-I-A.
Yep.
Inti, I-N-T-I, and then Amaru. Amaru, thank you.
Yeah.
A-M-A-R-U.
Yeah, and I'm also launching a program called Invincible Immunity, and it's going to be like 8 weeks of biohacks, 8 weeks of qigongs, 8 weeks of empowering you through different methods, shamanism, psychology, inner child work. So I'm going to be recruiting a group of 10 people who want to like upgrade and reboot your life at a multi-level through different stages, and also regenerate your organs through like the Chinese medicine that is focused on like brain, lungs, heart, spleen, stomach, digestive system, sexual organs. So each week we're gonna like attune to a different organ of the body, but at a multi-level, not just physical, but also energetic and psychologically.
I've said it so many times, but I love that. I've got to stop there. I can't think of another way to say it. I love that. So this is coming out next week, you're saying?
Yeah, next week I'm going to start positioning it in stores here in Bali.
Wonderful. Well, you got to let us know, and we'll put it in our Facebook group, by the way. Speak Up Monday group on Facebook. So Speak Up, all one word. Speak Up Monday group on Facebook. Join the group, and when you do it, please give it to us, and we can put it in the group, and we'll put it around.
Absolutely.
As well, so we can.
I would love to actually gift you one.
Oh.
Yeah.
I will definitely take the cinnamon. Thank you so much.
Yeah, there's a little bottle of champagne cinnamon.
Oh, so how often do I take it?
You can take it 3 times per day, or as many as you want.
Can you just
a little shot, like a tequila shot.
Cinnamon shot. You heard it here first, guys. Don't do that. Bad practice.
Oh, and by the way, you can put it in your elixirs too.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Elixirs. Mamma mia.
And massage.
Massage, Mama.
Like everything. Wow. You're just going to make your life better.
So probably the longest ending ever in Speak Up Monday history. I love that. I'm loving it. So darling, I just really, really, really want to thank you. And if there's anything else that you want to say to these guys here, either watching here, or here, please feel free to say it. If not, I will gladly accept a hug.
I would just say have the most beautiful time of your life every single day. Approach the people that you're attracted to. Tell them that you love them. Help others. Approach people that need your support and your skill sets and your presence. Plant trees, lots of trees, as many as you can. And treat yourself well. Those are the Maxine's for tonight.
Wow. Round of applause, everybody. Yeah. Oh, girl. Yeah. No, give me a hug. Come on.